for more insight, let's bring in Republican Illinois Congressman and member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Adam Kinzinger. He serves as a lieutenant colonel in the Air National Guard.
All right, Congressman, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it. Do you think, given how much the administration was willing to sort of turn away from its threats against Venezuela, that the Iranians are taking us seriously when it comes to the threats issued by the administration so far this week?
Well, I certainly think they should take it seriously. I do think, Venezuela was unfortunate. I think we had a real opportunity there, and it's not necessarily over. And when it comes to Iran, I mean, look, this is a weak country that, because of the reimplementation of sanctions and the pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal, is now lashing out. Look, strong, confident countries don't attach mines to innocent ships, and that's what they're doing because they're lashing out. So I think they ought to take this seriously. Is the reason they're lashing out, though, because they feel like they can test this administration in a way, perhaps, because it was President Trump who tweeted out about Cuban mercenaries inside Venezuela better get out or there was going to be an embargo. The Cuban mercenaries are still there and there's no embargo. Doesn't that embolden Iran? That's why. I don't think that's why, but I certainly think that's a risk. I think if you're going to talk tough, you have to be willing to back that up with action if that's the case, if that's what it's called for. With Iran, we've seen basically through a 40-year history, they always take this right up to where they think they're going to warrant a military response. And I think that's why Secretary Pompeo and the president being very clear that that's not off the table is important. But the key to that is if these kinds of attacks continue, there needs to be a military response. And that doesn't mean invading Iran. That means taking out their ability to be able to do attacks like this in the future and inflicting real harm on their basically ability to deny shipping.
So with this, does Iran need to be taught a lesson now, or are the tough words enough?
Look, if I was making the decision, I think we've reached that line. I don't think that's wrong for the president to not do it yet, but I think it needs to be clear, and hopefully it is clear to Iran, that basically this is it. This is about the extent of what we'll accept. This is the 6th tanker they've damaged, plus the fact that a quarter of American troops killed in Iraq were killed by Iran, and there's a point at which we've had enough. But the key we have to push back against is these folks that try to say that any military response means it's going to be a full invasion of Iran. That's the kind of stuff Obama used to do when he didn't do anything. The reality is there's a lot of stuff in between that would inflict the kind of punishment that we need to.
All right, when you just said you think it is time to teach them a lesson, what would be the proportional response?
Well, I think it would need to be a little above proportional. I think Iran needs to understand that the cost will certainly exceed any benefit they gain. That'll include taking out some of their Navy infrastructure, their fast boat infrastructure, their ability to mine this area, and also maybe surface-to-air missile sites, because we knew one was shot at at our drone. And
so you'd be willing to do that? You'd start kinetic action against the Iranians now?
Yeah, I think we're at that point, but at the same time, I don't think it's wrong to not do it at this moment, but I think we're really close to that.
You had come out with some pretty harsh words when the president said in that ABC interview that came out earlier this week that he wasn't sure if he was going to call the FBI if offered political dirt on a campaign opponent. This is what a fellow member of Congress, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, had to say about that and impeachment this morning. Take a listen.
Every day that passes, the pressure to impeach grows, and I think that it's justifiable. I think the evidence continues to come in, and I believe that with the president now saying that he is willing to break the law to win re-election, that transcends partisanship, it transcends party lines, and this is now about the rule of law in the United States of America.
When the president says things like he did to George Stephanopoulos, whether he walked it back or not, does it make it harder for Republicans in Congress like yourself to defend him?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think what he said was anything impeachable. I think he should have made it very clear that he wouldn't take this information, and he has tried to since walk that back a little bit. And I think when it comes to these issues, we have to, as a country, in a bipartisan way, say we'll never take any information from a foreign organization.
But simply bringing it up and simply talking in that way to where now Republicans such as yourself have to rebuke him or feel the need to rebuke him, doesn't that make it harder? Doesn't that muddy the waters a little bit for Congress?
Yeah, maybe for some people, not for me. I mean,
Okay.
I think, impeachable offenses reach a very high threshold, not this. I just think it needs to be clear that the president, I think he means, I don't think he was inviting foreign interference in the election, but I think just making it clear that you wouldn't accept that's really important at this point. I very rarely agree with AOC.
All right. Well, we'll have you back the next time you all disagree. It was good to have you, sir. We appreciate you making time on a Sunday afternoon. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All the best.